Friday. Happy Friday. Let me clear my camera. Okay. Be sure when you come in, go ahead and send out your daily heart me. Send out your repost. Send out your reposting of the live in your stories as well. And make sure you send it out to anybody who would love to hear this conversation. This is going to be a unique conversation tonight because typically we hold town halls for candidates who run on a state and federal level for Senate seats and House seats and governorship seats. But this particular person is running for a Georgia state labor commissioner seat. So this was going to be interesting. And I think this is also going to be educational because a lot of these type of positions that Nikki Porcher is running for is very essential, but not known to the public so much. It's not really talked about. So I think this is going to be great. Hello, everybody. As you all come in, as I said before, send out your heart me's, repost the live, share it out to anybody who would love to hear this conversation, and also send it out to your stories as well. That way you can let the people that follow you know that we are live. And we only have about 81K. I know we're early, but let's go ahead and get out on that FYP as quick as possible. And as I said before, happy Friday. Okay. So how's everybody feeling thus far? I know it's Friday. Some people are still at work. Some people may be off from work. So try to give me the vibes that you all are feeling right now. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. How you feeling? Are you feeling a little optimistic about the upcoming primaries? Also, just the midterms in general. Are you feeling a little optimistic or indifferent? Give me the feeling that you have right now in the room. Just put one emoji that would describe how you all are feeling right now of the upcoming primaries in the election in November. And thank you all for going ahead and putting hashtags in there too. That does help out with us getting pushed to the algorithm. Okay, I see some some angry expletives emojis. I'm sorry. I do understand that, Dick. Just feeling a bit exhausted. I can be at times, especially just seeing the ongoing headlines that come every single day. It can be very overwhelming. So just take a break at times. I know I have to, just to kind of mentally check out, because just constantly following the headlines and politics can be a bit overwhelming. So just give yourself a quick break and reset. That helps me a lot. Okay, yes, I understand that. That emoji, Buttermilk and Miss Nikki, that I can relate to that one as well too. Okay, anybody else want to give me your vibes of how are you feeling right now in the state of politics? Just give me one emoji that how are you feeling right now in the state of politics. Some people already put boxing gloves. Some people put some sad emojis. Some people have some covering your face up, just not feeling it right now. So I understand. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are waiting for the candidate to come up right now, and as she comes up, we'll go ahead and get started. So right now we almost have 1K likes. Let's see if we can get to about 5K before we get started. Hi, Chris. Welcome again. Hi, Maria. Thank you all for stopping by to hear another candidate's conversation. So your support is very needed. Yes, and thank you for the reshare, Chris. I appreciate that as well. All right, so for those who are not familiar with people who run for the commissioner seats in Georgia, this particular seat is called the Georgia Labor Commissioner, or some people say the Georgia Commissioner of Labor. Either one is fine. But essentially, this particular seat is a statewide seat, and it is responsible for implementing state labor regulations, operating its unemployment insurance, rehabilitation programs, and producing statistics and research covering for just the labor market in the state. But the specific duties of being a labor commissioner, it helps with updating the systems for people who file for unemployment insurance. It helps collect data for reporting purposes for business entities, for sending out research to their state legislators for the purposes of just kind of getting the idea of what's going on in the labor and employment market in the state. And I think this is a seat that is essentially important. Right now, the person that's holding the seat in the Georgia State Commissioners is they just appointed someone named Barbara Rivera Holmes. Barbara Rivera Holmes. She was appointed by Governor Brian Kemp because the prior person who she succeeded, he passed away. So whenever that seat tends to get open in circumstances like that, the governor does have the discretion to appoint the seat until that term is filled out. Once the term is filled out, the current person that's in that seat can choose whether or not they want to run for re-election. So it also gives the abilities for people who are running in that same party or other parties to run to win in that same seat as well. So as we wait for Miss Nikki to come up, does anybody have any questions regarding the position of the Georgia State Labor? I think that this is going to be a great conversation. Hi, Miss Nikki.
Hello, I am coming. I know I sound like I'm an old person, but
no, not at all. You're fine. I just put you in a big box, so if you need some help turning on your camera and putting on your background, let me know and I can walk you through that.
Okay, I'm looking. I have it. It says hit effects.
Yes, and then it should pop up your gallery, like your images in your camera, and then select the image that we sent to you to add to your background.
Got it. Here I am.
Perfect.
Hello.
Yes. All right. So we're glad that you're here. Welcome. And let us know whenever you're ready. We'll go ahead and get started.
I'm ready. Let's jump into it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Vote Counts Town Hall Live. I am your moderator, Jaz B. And for those who are not familiar with Our Vote Counts, we are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promote candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, accountability, and in the upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, and students and community advocates, Our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote counts. So with one voice at a time and one vote at a time, it's our promise that one movement and a rally for democracy. So together, we're shaping the future. So with one informed vote at a time, we understand this is an important task. So today, we're joined by Ms. Nikki Porcher, who is running for Georgia Labor Commissioner. We'll be talking about her background, her vision for the district, and of course, taking your questions live. So Ms. Nikki, the format of this live will be after each set of topic questions that I will ask you, I will allow one person to come up on the panel and ask you a question, and then we'll drop them back down. If we don't have anyone in the queue, then I'll take some questions from the chat for them to ask you, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. So for those who are not familiar with your office, I know it's not a popular thing, but I'll just quickly just give everybody a quick tidbit of your of this particular seat that you're running for. So the head of the Department of Georgia, the head of Georgia's Department of Labor is a statewide constitutional office. So essentially, the Georgia State Commissioners, they oversee major programs that impact workers, employers, and the state's economy. And this particular seat serves as a 4-year elected term, and it doesn't have any term limits. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So just to get into knowing about you, Ms. Nikki, we've learned that you are a military veteran. You are a former public school teacher, which is awesome. And you hold a nonprofit called Buy from a Black Woman, which essentially is dedicated to supporting Black women entrepreneurs by providing access to funding, marketing support, and industry resources, and also business development tools. But with that small tidbit of what I just highlighted about you, for those who haven't met you for the first time, tell us what was the moment or the experience that made you say, okay, it's time for me to run for Georgia Labor Commissioner and make a difference for the state of Georgia.
Yes, so my name is Nikki Porcher. I have been a military vet, school teacher, nonprofit organizer, also a mother as well. And for the last 10 years, I led the organization Buy from a Black Woman, where we helped generate over 6.2 million into our community directly. And that's just what we have on record. I'm pretty sure it's more of that. But we have over 200,000 people who are part of our community as well. During this time, I was trying to figure out what would happen if the new administration became the new administration as they were. 24, I really dug into Project 2025. I was hosting classes on TikTok to share and just break down in layman terms what this would look like if these people were elected. And what I found through that and just having conversations was like, okay, if this administration gets into the office, how and what am I going to do with Buy from a Black Woman? I know that it's a very bold thing what I'm doing. They don't want people to just help Black businesses, help Black people. My name is Black Woman in the description, nonprofit. What is going to happen? So at the start of the year, I started to lose partners. One of the biggest partners that we had was with H&M, and they started to cut back on some of our programmings, and that became a thing where I just said, you know, I'm going to walk away from this, because what you're not going to do is keep me and my team doing this work pretending that you actually care about what's happening, because it was a lot of stuff that had already happened. And with that, I said, okay, what can I do next? What is the next thing that can actually use my gifts, my talents, my resources, and also help people? And I looked at what I was doing for the last 10 years, and I said, you know what? I need to run for something. I need to run for office. So after researching, after looking to see what the positions actually do in the state of Georgia, and also on a countrywide position as well, I said, okay, labor commissioner is the closest thing to what I was doing with the organization. And if I was able to transfer over 700 Black women businesses, if I was able to generate millions into a community that is the most disenfranchised, the least supported, the least that has resources, if I was able to work with partners like American Express, MasterCard, H&M, PayPal, Goldman Sachs, if I was able to do all this stuff for a group that does not get to do any of this stuff, and people go out of their way not to help Black women, what could I do for the whole state of Georgia with more resources? So it was like, okay, this is what we're doing, and we're going to get into labor commissioner, and that's where we're at.
Thank you for just explaining what motivated you to run. And I think this was a step in a great direction, just to not only highlight your motivation of running, but also just getting more eyes into how important this seat is. So thank you for that.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
mean,
Yes.
no, you're welcome. And please forgive me. I did butcher
Oh,
your
it's okay.
last name, so I know it's pronounced Porche. So I'm sorry.
It's okay. No problems at all.
No, thank you for that. So I want to go ahead and ask a quick, fun icebreaker question before we get down to the serious topic. So, if you could invite three people to your dinner table, these could be living people or people that have passed on. Tell me, who would it be and why?
If I can today, today I had to send out invites. If I had to send out invites today, believe it or not, I would invite Donald Trump, because I want to talk to him about some things and figure out what he's doing, why he's doing. My house would probably stink because he's probably farting up the place, but I would invite him. I would invite my grandmother. My grandmother was born in the 1930s. She's still alive, but she was born in the 1930s. So to get her wisdom in that conversation with him, all the things that she's seen since the 30s until now, right? And also, I invite my son. My son is a 22-year-old. He is active duty in the Army right now, and he is who I just keep going for. So to see what his perspective is and what are the things he wants to see. So I will make sure those three generations were at the table with me so we can have a fun, it will be an interesting conversation, because my grandmother holds nothing back.
And I would love to have a camera at that table for you to address the current person that's in the seat of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That would be very interesting.
Yes.
And just with the collaboration you said your grandmother, and your son, that would definitely be interesting. So I appreciate your honesty on that. So okay, we're gonna go ahead and start talking about. We're gonna highlight some questions about modernization and department operations for this seat. So Georgia's unemployment system has been widely criticized for its slow processing times and outdated technology. Could you tell me how would you modernize the system so workers can get a timely and more accurate support?
Yeah, so for the last 20 years, the Republican Party has been over the Department of Labor. Prior to that, 20 plus years, I apologize. Prior to that, Michael Thurman, who is actually running for governor of Georgia right now, he was the last Democrat labor commissioner. He had just made this system such a wonderful thing where people were talking to each other. The workforce development was talking to the labor department. If you were a vet trying to get out and transition into civilian world, it worked together. When he left and the Republicans took over, they literally gutted the system. And when I say gutted the system, they started giving their friends jobs, creating programs, creating pathways, creating just new systems because they wanted to hire the people that they wanted to hire, same thing what we're seeing in administration right now. With that comes a lot of confusion, a lot of noise. It comes when people are waiting for their unemployment claims 14, 15, 16 weeks from when they file. It comes with people having to talk to this agency or this agency just to get approval on their unemployment claims. So modernizing is going to take some time. One thing is I have to see what exactly is the holdup, because like I said, every election cycle for labor commissions for the last 20 years, the candidates have said, I am going to modernize the labor department. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that we can just snap our fingers and do. Because I would hope that if it was that easy, the candidates before me would have done something, right? So my first step is to actually see what has been the holdup. Why is this a problem? And what do we need to do to fix that? But in the meantime, in between time, identifying the pain points and making sure we're addressing those in real time when it comes to people getting their checks and people being turned to retraining if they want a new career, and also learning about the programs that are readily available to them.
Okay, and just to be clear, so if you all are trying to get the resources to modernize, does that funding come from the state legislators to get
Yes, it
allocated? So
does.
they will have to essentially pass some type of spending bill to get the funding allocated.
Well,
Has there
right
any?
now,
Okay.
yes, they operate on a $10 million budget, but the governor can actually allocate some more money into the Department of Labor. So he has the power. So that's why it's important to make sure that whoever's going to become the next governor, I can reach across the aisle just in case. But the Democrat governors who are currently running understand what needs to happen with the Department of Labor because they understand that Georgia needs to keep working.
Yes, yes, and thank you for that. All right, so we also understand that they tend to navigate residents in the state. They tend to navigate online claims portals, especially in the rural counties with limited broadband. What do you think what's the steps would be to take in order for the Department of Labor to make it more accessible for people statewide in those particular areas?
So right now there are 34 career centers in the state of Georgia, and we have 159 counties. So you do the math. It's not enough work centers, especially in our rural areas. One thing is to partner with organizations that are doing the work similar, like with me with Buy from a Black Woman. There's a lot of stuff that I was doing with this demographic, but if I had a partnership with a government entity or a partnership with a bigger organization, we can go ahead and take some of that load off of the Department of Labor. So identifying the organizations that are in those areas do not have the resources and seeing how we can give those resources. Also, I would love to have a mobile employment van that goes around the state and just goes ahead and sets up shop for either a day or a week, however, and can actually be a resource in those areas where some of the work centers have closed, but also where some of the work centers have never existed.
All right, and just to follow up, so you mentioned something about partnering with other entities to help speed up the process of that of those operations. So you're essentially saying you will contract that out to an entity. So, like for example, another organization or another group that tends that have experience handling that, you will contract that out for to
Well,
them in order to do that
I
operation.
wouldn't contract it out. What I would do is
Okay.
bring them on as a partner. So I wouldn't say, oh, this
Okay.
is your responsible. Now it would be more so like, okay, so we use you as a resource to get this stuff to the people who you're already serving. Similar to what is happening right now, we have the Technical College System of Georgia, and they have some partners. A lot of them are not well known. A lot of them are not doing the work, and they're not being held accountable for doing the work. So they're partnering with organizations that do have resources in places that they're not able to touch. So more of that.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to open it up for anyone who would like to ask Miss Nikki a question regarding the operations of the particular department. and also just the systems that Georgia, or even similar in your state, that deals with claims or just accessing the Department of Labor, because even though it may not be specific to what Georgia is doing, it could be similar in your state. And so if you want to have any clarifying questions on that, feel free to request up. But I'm going to see if there's any questions in the chat. It looks like we don't have any, but people are enjoying the conversation. So that's a good thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll it over to talking about unemployment insurance and processing claims. So with Georgia's unemployment appeals process can tend to take about weeks and sometimes months, which leaves families into limbo. What is your plan to reduce backlogs and speed up the appeals process?
We need more staff. Like there needs to be more people working. That's really it. Like the unemployment rate rather, is with the government entities. We know over 300,000 Black women were reportedly who lost their jobs in the government agency. That's not just in DC, that's across the country. We need more staff, we need to hire more people. Part of the reason why they're taking so long is because people are exhausted. The few people who are working in these places are overwhelmed with processes, overwhelmed with claims, and so they're moving slow. And also, if you're not getting paid well, if you're not being treated right, we all have work jobs where it's like, you know what, I'm just showing up, and you're lucky I showed up today. So making sure that we're boosting the morale within the Department of Labor as well to make sure that they're excited about processing claims. One of the things I am looking to do is have a Veterans Fast Track Act bill passed, working on that right now, because right now, even with our veterans, as they're getting off active duty and trying to file their DOL claims, they're not getting the resources properly or even fast enough.
Okay, and it's called the Veterans Fast Track Act that you're drafting?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Is there is that anywhere where people can access that
No,
on
not
your
yet.
site?
Not yet.
Okay. Because I would love to read into it after this live. So I was just curious because I was going to write it down. So most
but
definitely.
I can share that with you once we have it. We're working with Common Defense as well here locally in Georgia to see how we can make sure that we're making sure we are getting the voices of veterans and their pain points. Like I'm a veteran. When I got the military, I had that issue. And I just left a talk with Senator Kelly and John Ossoff, and they were talking about what's happening in the VA department, what's happening with veterans. So it just confirmed that I am on the right track with this bill I'm proposing.
And is Ossoff considering drafting something like that on the federal level in DC?
Well, he's already he's already working on something. And they're making sure they're focusing on affordable housing for veterans. So that's a big part that they got going on.
Okay, that's amazing. I love that. All right. So the next question I have is fraud prevention efforts have increased in the state, but many legitimate claimants still face delays. How would you balance fraud prevention with ensuring eligible workers aren't blocked from those benefits?
Yeah, so we're seeing a number of different frauds, and a lot of that is coming because they're targeting certain groups. So making sure that if we're going to target this group, we're targeting all groups. When it comes to fraud prevention, I think it goes back to modernizing the labor system. The rules are not set very clearly. They're making sure that they are writing in a different way to confuse those who are going on their claims. And also, if you go into the system, they have all these check boxes that they're saying. So it goes back to modernizing the system, making sure that people can actually understand how they're doing it so that they're not preventing fraud. They're not getting fraud.
And also, just as a follow-up, do you think also with vulnerable people getting targeted with fraud, do you think also that kind of ties into the less allocation that gets put in order to prevent the actual fraud itself too?
Yeah, right now we're seeing some of our elected officials being prosecuted with fraud. Now, I don't know the ins and outs. I just know that they're targeting a certain party and a certain person, people who are, Black women. I'm honest, they're Black women, right? So, and they're Democrats. So it's just like, are we only looking at these type of people? Are we going in and looking at these claims to see? Are we targeting them directly, or did it just come up? Because right now they're getting there for during the COVID, the unemployment. Now, and I know for a fact that those two women who are being accused are not the only two women who should be accused, if that makes sense to you, So trying to figure that part out.
Thank you for that. All right, so we've just covered the unemployment portion. So if anyone wants to come up and ask Ms. Nikki a question regarding this, or if there's something that I didn't cover regarding this topic, feel free to request up. So people in the chat are loving what's been discussed. So I think you're doing great so far. So I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
answers on that. Yes. All right, so we're
Thank
going to go
you.
ahead and roll it into talking about the workforce development and job training. So, Georgia also faces persistent labor shortages in logistics, construction, and healthcare. How would you expand job training programs to meet these workforce gaps?
So that is accessibility. The great thing about it is like I don't have to expand what's already there. I just have to tell people about it because they have some great workforce development programs, but nobody knows that they exist. Nobody is going to get the information. Nobody is sharing the information. It's really being gatekeep. But so it's not even expanding it. It's just making it accessible and marketing and letting people know that they do have these benefits, that they're eligible for these benefits. My son, for example, when he was in high school, because I'm a geek and I was making sure reading all this stuff, when he was in high school, we actually took advantage of one of the co-op events where he can go and get a trade while he was in high school. So he was able to go to the technical college systems of Georgia and do an actual trade while still in high school, graduate with the certification where he could get a job, and he was guaranteed a job, but then it was rebunked, and that's why he's in the military. But again, this is stuff that I found out on my own. Nobody willingly told me this information. There wasn't an email blast. I didn't see it on socials. It's me just digging and looking for resources of how I'm going to help my son. So it's not so much about expanding, it's about telling people what exists and why they should be part of it.
And also, could you touch on about helping people quickly get back into the force if they experience like layoffs in the state and also job transitions? Could you speak to that as well? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there is a process that when you are laying off more than 50 people, you have to notify the Department of Labor. However, if you're laying off 49 people, you don't have to tell the Department of Labor anything. So it's like that misconnects right there. So going ahead and say, if you are doing a layoff, please let the Department of Labor know so that we can have the resources in place so when they're filing the claims, right? So changing that part. But then also, again, the information of, okay, or do you want to retrain? Do you want to find something else in your field? Right now, foster children in Georgia can go to a technical college for free. Foster and adopted children, right? They can go to a technical college for free, learn to trade and all that stuff. But there should be something for if you are lay off your job, no fault on your own, maybe there's a waiver that we can give you so you can also retrain at one of our technical colleges. And one of our governor candidates is actually trying to get that passed as well.
And to speak to the part about you mentioned that if a company is going to lay off workers, they have to let you all know in order to get those claims processed. Is there a certain like regulation or rule that they have to submit it in a certain time frame or a certain notice? Like, can you speak to like how soon they have to let you all know in order for those claims to get processed?
They
Like
actually
how?
have to let the Department of Labor know before they actually go through with it.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it within like a 30-day time span they have to let you all know before they start laying off workers, or is 60-day?
I'm
Yeah.
not sure the exact dates, so I don't want to speak on that one. But yeah, so but there is a time frame where before they do the actual layoff, they have to let the Department of Labor know like this is happening.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So if anybody wants to come up and ask Ms. Nikki a question, feel free to do so. And also, we have about 40K right now. This shouldn't be this low because this is great. I've learned a lot just speaking with Ms. Nikki right now. So let's see if we can get to 60K in the next 5 minutes. I think you all can do it. Go ahead. Those thumbs and those index fingers are very strong. So go ahead and start tapping away.
And I'll just share that, one thing that I've been educating people on about this position is only 4 states in the country elects the labor commissioner. All other 46 states, their labor commissioner is appointed by their governor. So I would say if you don't like your governor, I'm pretty sure you don't like the way that labor is being run in your state. But if you're not talking to them, if you're not advocating, you're not showing up to the meetings, you're not emailing them, you're not talking to your reps in your states, they can get away with anything they want to because they hope that people are not paying attention. The labor commissioner race is a down ballot race. We're literally the last place that you vote for when you're electing for your state. positions.
Really, it's at the bottom of
It's
the
at the
balance
bottom.
sheet.
Like we are, like,
Wow.
because it's a statewide position. So when all the other
Okay.
statewide, like our governor, our lieutenant governor, secretary of state, insurance commissioner, agriculture commissioner, attorney general, all those are all before labor commissioner. Labor commissioner is literally the last thing. And they do not, and when I say they, I'm saying the Republican Party, they don't pay attention to this race. A lot of people don't pay attention to the race because they don't know what the Department of Labor and the Labor Commissioner does. They also don't know that there's something that they elect, because voter fatigue. We're always voting in Georgia, first of all, but then it's just like, let me just go ahead and vote for the governor because that's who I know, or let me just go vote for this name. So a lot of people don't pay attention to the labor commissioner race. I have brought a lot of attention to this race. Some like it, some don't. But it's like, we have to understand that labor connects to everything: transportation, healthcare, housing. Like, labor is a part of all of these things, and this should be something that people really pay attention to.
Absolutely. And even though I live in the neighboring state to you, I live in Alabama, and we also have commissioners and labor commissioners. So I think I ran across your account a few weeks ago when you put out that you were running, and it helped bring attention for me to learn about what is the importance of commissioner seats, whether it's the Public Service Commission, Insurance Commission, and the Labor Commission. So thank you for running, because people like me, it helps for me to learn the importance of things that we tend to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's affected by politics. So thank you for that.
Yes,
All
no
right.
problem.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to ask you another question regarding the workforce development and job training. So we also know that rural counties often have fewer training centers, and I think you spoke to this as well. And they also have limited access to career services. Could you expound a little bit more on what is your strategy to ensure rural Georgians have equal access to job training? I know you talked about like having mobile areas, but you have any other things that you would like to share on your ideas on that?
So right now it's more so in the research part. So I don't want, again, I'm not a misspeaker. I don't talk just to talk. So like, that's not it. We do have a campaign called Every County Counts. Again, we have 159 counties in the state of Georgia, and every county is not one that I can visit while this election is going on, unfortunately. However, every county, I want them to know that I am thinking about them. So we're asking people to go ahead and claim a county, and we update it on our virtual map to let people know, like, this is a county that's paying attention to this race. This is a county that wants more for their county, and that's our way of reaching out to those particular counties that don't get the resources that they need, but there's an advocate in that county. So that's how I'm starting the process with that. Like, okay, you're claiming this county. This is one that does not have a hospital, does not have a work center. It might not even have a technical college there, but you were loud and you let me know, like, we want more here. So let me dig into that.
All right, thank you for that. And also, regarding the job training opportunities, I think you also touched on, your son having the opportunity to have experience before he graduated high school. That way, it was an early transition for him to get a job. Do you think there should be more allocation to technical colleges and 2-year colleges, or not even just the technical and 2-year, but also within high schools as well, having a smooth transition? Because some people may not want to go to a 2-year school or a technical school. That way they have some form of experience before they just leave high school in general.
I am a strong believer that you need to have a skill. You need to be able to do something that can always make you money. Like, no matter what is happening, you can do this to make money. And a lot of those are trade works. I went to a technical high school where I studied fashion fabrication, so I learned how to sew. And I can't tell you how many times I was able to hem somebody's pants to make a quick buck because I needed gas. Or I was able to do, like, when I was active duty in the Air Force, we have stripes. So I was sewing people's stripes on for extra money. So it was like, I have this skill and I can always make money using this skill. So I'm a person who believes that for everyone across the board. So making sure my son had a skill that no matter what, he can actually make some money. To your point, I do believe, I'm a person who believes that we all need that. There are not trades in high schools anymore. People are having emphasis on computer classes, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, that is what's happening, and that is like by design why a lot of us are not able to get jobs. Imagine learning how to do plumbing for free. Then you start working at your father's or your uncle's plumbing business as a kid. Then you take over the business, and now you're a plumber doing the same thing, right? Are you like, hey, I want to learn how to fix cars? Now you're the family mechanic or the neighborhood mechanic where people can come to you. And that's how we build community as well. So I want to put trades back in schools, not in a a bad way, because I know a lot of Republicans are talking like this as well, and it comes across, if they're talking about it, we don't want it. However, it's more so like we need to put skills in our communities back. We need skills back into our families. We need skills to survive, especially with what's happening. We just don't know. So if my neighbor can fix my car, I can go right there and it's accessible for me.
All right. I appreciate that. All right. So anyone else would like to give Ms. Nikki any questions regarding what we just discussed? Feel free to put in the chat and I'll go ahead and read it aloud. And please don't be scared to request up. We do not bite. We will answer your questions. So feel free to request up if you would like to ask Ms. Nikki a question regarding the topics that we talked about or anything that I missed that you would like to get clarification on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk about worker protections and workplace safety. So Georgians rely heavily on state enforcement to uphold wage and child labor laws. How would you strengthen enforcement to protect workers without overburdening employers?
Again, I'm an educator through and through, so making sure people understand that what is happening at their workforce is illegal. So there's a lot of people and a lot of mistakes happening, and people think it's okay because that's just the way that things have been done. So getting those facts out, like, hey, if this is happening at your workplace, report it. If this is happening at your workplace, report it. Do be okay reporting these things, so then we can tackle them. Also, when it comes to labor laws, again, we're not enforcing them. When it comes to employers, let me back up. One of the things that doesn't have the Department of Labor is small businesses are not under the fold with them. So a lot of the employers don't know how to properly handle their employees, how to hire employees, how to even have the labor laws into that. So bringing those under the Department of Labor will be one of my biggest things that I want to implement. With that comes training employers properly so we have less labor law violations with that. So making sure, like, hey, you've had this class, you took this class, you know what is illegal, what is not illegal, you know what's acceptable, and also your employees know exactly as well.
And just to speak to what you mentioned about if you suspect there's any type of labor violations or laws being broken, they report to you. So you're their first line of contact whenever there's some type of violation, and that can be down just from the employee up to the management. They can directly contact you. Is that the chain of command or the process?
Yeah, so the employees are mostly the ones who will report it. Employers are not going to report a labor violation because, they'll get dinged for that. So, but people think sometimes the EEOC is also a place where the equal opportunity, they can go there to report something as well. And it's all under labor. But the thing again with that is you'll come to this office for one thing. Like, so let's say you're like, I'm being discriminated towards, but they also are making me work 25 hours over I'm supposed to. So you'll come and let us know that you're working over your hours, but then you have to go to EEOC to let them know that you're being discriminated for. It's so many moving parts. So making sure like they're all talking to each other where you don't have to go to 6 different offices because you had this claim. Because by then you're getting exhausted. There's also the intimidation factor where if I tell you one thing, then you're going to like, well, I'm not going to go talk to anybody else because they just told me this.
Okay, so making sure that everyone is involved, not only the labor commissioner, but the EEOC and other people that need to be a part of that communication.
Yes.
Okay, great to know. All right, so also with that follow up, we also know that workplace injuries, in tandem with what we just talked about protections, we understand that injuries remain a significant issue in industries like manufacturing and agriculture. What improvements could you make to the workplace for safety oversight?
So again, I don't want to misspeak because I don't want to say I'll do this and there might be a rule that's already happening and just people are just not enforcing it. So again, it'll be me educating myself, my team that's coming in to see what is happening, what is not being enforced, what is not being out there, put there. So that would be my first line. I don't want to say, oh, I'll do this or I'll do that when I don't know. Maybe there's already a rule, already a law, but people are just not, following it.
Okay. All right, so we do have someone on the panel who would like to ask you a question, Miss Nikki. So we have Buttermilk. Buttermilk, you have a question for Miss Nikki? How are you?
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everyone. And Miss Nikki, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. My first short question is, what area of Georgia are you from?
So I am prior military, so I was down here for Warner Robins Station. Originally, I'm from New Jersey, but I've been in Georgia for like the last 15 years.
Okay, I'm gonna say you're in the Atlanta area, Savannah area.
Yes, the Atlanta area.
Atlanta area. Okay. So my question though that I came up for, would you be the first Black woman to hold this seat?
I would be.
All right. And how do you think you this is going to be a challenge then, a real challenge. So how do you plan to overcome that?
So I just plan on being myself. So Dr. Alicia Johnson, she is actually the first Black woman to hold a statewide seat in Georgia ever in life. And that just happened last November. So she broke the mold for a lot of us to actually follow through. For me, I've overcome things my whole life. So this is just another thing. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I led an organization for 10 years called Black and the Black Women. So it was like I had to overcome people's racism, their sexism, their ageism. It's just, I'm here. When I first started running for office, I was like, well, let me tone myself down so I could be more acceptable, quote unquote. But I was very uncomfortable. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, this is not who I am. How can I be my true, authentic self in this position if I'm not even showing up that way? So it's just me doing what I've been doing these last 43 years of my life, just going and knowing that I cannot fail. It's impossible to lose, and things are always working out for me.
Amen. Well, follow the footsteps of Miss Stacey Abrams too, and y'all and Black Girl Magic in Georgia.
Yes. Thank you so much. Are you in Georgia?
I'm not. Okay. I thought about moving there a while. I lived in Louisiana for quite a while too, and North Carolina, but I'm currently in the DC area.
Okay.
So, which is where I was born and raised. But you have definitely put something on my mind. I really think that Black women, Black folks in general, should definitely get more into the money portion of government. We want to be in the charge of stuff all the time, but we know our neighborhoods and stuff aren't progressing because the money is not getting to us. Yes. So we need to get in those positions so that we can affect how this money is distributed. Yes. So you go, girl.
Oh, thank you. And I was like, the closer it is down the ballot, the closer it is to you directly. So if you see those positions that are down, it's intentional. Like, let's just be real, it's intentional. They're hoping that you get election fatigue. They're hoping that you don't even pay attention. You just go in there for that one person and then you leave away. But if you are not voting for your local judges, your local sheriff, your PSC, which a lot of people learn about that, your city council, your mayor, even your school board, like those things really count. And those are directly impacting you because those are your neighbors. Your city council person has to live in your neighborhood. Your mayor has to live in your town. Like your judge has to be in your county. Like your sheriff is in your county as well. These are people who are living, breathing, walking amongst you. So we need to be more involved in that.
Absolutely. Thank you for educating us all. Thank you, Ms. Jazz.
Thank you, Buttermilk. All right. So we're going to go ahead and roll into just a quick little break in our questioning. So these are called rapid fire style questions. So these will involve you either saying yes or no or just some quick responses. So let's see. I'm going to test your speed on this. All right. So should Georgia employment system be fully accessible on mobile devices?
Yes.
All right. Do you believe Georgia needs faster processing times for unemployment claims?
Yes.
All right. Is expanding job training programs in rural counties a top priority for you?
Yes.
All right. Should the state invest more apprenticeships for high demand industries?
Hell yeah.
And do you support stronger enforcement on workplace safety standards?
Yes.
All right. And should small businesses have easier access to state funding and technical assistance?
Yes. If I become labor commissioner, they will.
All right. Is childcare essential for Georgia workforce participation?
Yes. And also accessible childcare that is reasonably priced.
Absolutely. Should Georgia publish more real-time labor data for public use?
Yes.
Do you believe every county in Georgia is currently receiving fair workforce support?
No.
All right. And lastly, what's one system you would modernize first at the Department of Labor?
Making sure that small businesses are under the fold.
Hey, that's perfect because we're rolling into talking about now small business and entrepreneurship. So that's a great segue. All right. So my question to you regarding small business and entrepreneurship is, Small businesses make about 99% of Georgia's employers, yet many struggle with hiring and compliance. Tell me, how would you expand support for small businesses navigating workforce challenges?
Okay, so just to clarify, Georgia small businesses make up 99% of the economy. They employ 46% of the workforce. So that's the fact right there. Making sure that they are part of the Department of Labor is so important because again, they're 99% of the economy. And people think small businesses, they always think, oh, we're just talking about the little coffee shop on the block. And yes, we are. However, there are small businesses that are considered 1,000 employees. They're considered a small business in the state of Georgia. So they're a part of the economy as well. So making sure that people understand exactly the small businesses that are in their neighborhood that can use help, but also the small businesses that might be on a bus route or maybe even accessible for van driving, you can get to as well. And I think I forgot your question. So ask me the question again.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
My question was to ask, how would you expand support for small businesses navigating workforce challenges?
Yeah, so getting with the local chambers is the first step with that because your small business should be connected to your chamber. If you're a small business owner and you're not connected with your chamber, even if you're not connected with the Black chamber, getting with the chambers is the first line of defense for that, making sure because those are representatives of the small businesses in those counties, in those areas. So getting with chambers, letting them know like, hey, we need to go ahead and do something with you all, go on to the Department of Labor and start putting those resources into them.
All right. All right, so the follow-up question regarding this is entrepreneurs in underserved communities often lack access to funding and technical assistance. What role should the Department of Labor play in supporting these entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so there's so many different roles. A person who has been working with small businesses for the last 10 years, I've seen firsthand how we don't have any accessibility when it comes to the Department of Labor, especially when you are trying to, if you're a self-employee, if you're a 1099, you cannot even file for unemployment insurance. So if you are having a bad time at your job, there's no safety net. So educating that, trying to figure out how we can make sure our gig workers are part of our ecosystem as well is a priority for me because with the new generation that I was talking about, 22-year-old, not everybody wants a traditional job. Sometimes we are ride sharing. Sometimes we are watching our dog. We're a 10-9 contracting with this business. And that's another thing I want to talk about too as well. But making sure that those facts are being told and they know exactly what they have with the Department of Labor, but also how we can do a better job serving them.
Okay, and you mentioned about gig workers. Do you think there should be some state legislation passed when it comes to covering people who are 1099 workers if they in the event that that job does cut short? Short within the agreed contract time, should they be covered in filing for unemployment insurance? Do you think there should be some type of legislation in order to change that? Because I think essentially that's not a fair thing. I mean, I know typically people are W-2, but it needs to cover 1099 employees. Could you speak to that as well?
Yeah, so that goes back to enforcing the laws with the employers. A lot of employers are hiring people as 1099 so they don't have to pay unemployment insurance or they don't have to pay health care. And that's a violation because a 1099 can only work a certain amount of hours per week. But if you're treating your 1099 like a full-time employee, you're violating the law. So there goes that, right? So, but then for those who are not working full-time, but they're doing the gig work, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There should be some type of insurance that they also can pay into. And that could be like you're paying yourself, just like you pay with your health insurance yourself. I feel like unemployment insurance should be treated the same way.
Absolutely. All right. So if anyone has a question for Miss Nikki regarding what we just discussed regarding small businesses and the workforce, and just particularly in gig workers, I know there's a lot of people who may have scrolled in here just to listen to this conversation who are affected that are 1099 and W-2 or just short-term employees in general. If you want Miss Nikki to expand more about it, feel free to come up and she can answer your question regarding this. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and roll it into talking about. Oh yes,
That's cool. I like that. I don't do a lot of TikTok live, so seeing all this stuff, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like this
yes, there's a lot of interactive gifts that'll come up depending on what they select. So sometimes you'll see it around your face or just in the live coming across. So yes, it is awesome. And so I want to talk specifically about childcare and workforce participation. I know we mentioned this earlier, but more specifically,
That's cute.
Yes, there's
sorry.
one of the gifts that just came in for you. You're fine. So we understand that Georgia has one of the highest child care cost burdens in the Southeast, which limits workforce participation for parents. How would you address child care as a workforce issue?
Yeah, so if you don't have someone to watch your child, you can't go to work. Like that's just the ins and out of it. But it's also because childcare is very expensive. Also, there's some rural counties that have no childcare at all. I was shared a story earlier this week with a woman, and she was telling me about a woman that she was advocating for with a new bill that they're trying to pass down at the House, at the Gold Dome, rather. This young lady, she had just got a job, but she did not have child care, so she trusted a neighbor to watch her child. However, her neighbor had a pit bull and ended up mauling the child to death. And then the child, yeah, and this is a child care issue because she wanted to go to work. However, she couldn't afford traditional daycare, and she had to start right away. So she didn't even have a window to even see if this was somebody who can actually watch the kid, if it's safety conditions, is it somewhere that you want to leave your kid, is there a dog that can actually do something to your child? And that's a child care issue. So making sure that first you have safe places that are affordable for people to go and drop their kids off is the first thing. Also, it's expensive. My neighbor across the street, she let me know she doesn't work anymore because daycare was her paycheck. So she's like, I'm just a stay-at-home mom now because it doesn't make no sense because I'm not putting my money towards anything but for somebody to watch my child while I'm at work. So we had to go ahead and lower that cost. But that goes down to a staffing issue and also a training issue. And also, I am very far removed from children. So I'll be straight honest with that. I used to be a school teacher, a high school and middle school teacher. My son, again, he's 22 years old. So I do know this next generation is a lot smarter than previous generations. And we're not training people to actually keep up with the youth and the rate that they're growing. So making sure that there's getting proper training happening to the people who do have that heart to talk and be and caregivers for our kids.
And to your point about the how costly it is for childcare, do you think that is something that the Department of Labor can explore to collect some type of data in order to compare and correlate the difference why certain people cannot enter the workforce because of the sometimes it could be the lack of childcare or just the expense part about it too, the affordability portion. Do you think there should be some type of data to collect in order for like state legislators to access it when it comes to their committee meetings or just businesses or just even just organizations to put reports out for people to know the state of what Georgians are going through when it comes to child care and in correlation to the workforce?
Well, fortunately, I don't have to do the reports because they have been done. And this is an issue that is being tackled by the governors as well who are running for office, the candidates who are running for office. So it's a very well-known fact that childcare is an issue. They have been trying to get bills passed, but they keep getting shut down. So now the governors are talking about it as well. So it's a conversation that is coming up a lot in this election cycle. It's my hope that the governors are Democrats and that they can go ahead and enforce universal child care. And I'm not talking about just child care for 3 and under. I mean, after school care needs to be something too as well.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll it into talking about equity across the counties of Georgia. So economic opportunity varies drastically across 159 counties. So for those who don't know, there's over 150 counties in the state of Georgia, which is a lot. So my question to you is, how would you ensure every county receives equitable workforce resources and support?
Yeah, so that's a tough one that I cannot say this is what I will do right away because that's another thing where I will have to deep dive research to understand why it's not happening. Also, like I said, we have 34 work centers. At one time, we only had 52 work centers. Why these work centers closed? What was the reason behind that? Why do we only have 34? Why are they placed in these areas and who are they serving? Are they being feasible to the people who are around there? So there's going to be a lot of research before I can like actually answer that question in a way that delivers results.
Oh no, you're fine. I just love your ideas in general. This is
Oh,
just refreshing for me to learn. So you're fine. If it may not actually directly answer it, it's fine because it still gives people in the audience an idea of the functions and the operations and what do you all do as labor commissioners in the state.
yeah.
So I appreciate your answer on that. So we're going to go ahead and get more to learn about the data and accountability and community engagement portion of this role. So labor market data tends to drive economic development decisions, but many communities lack clear and localized insights on this. How would you make labor data more useful for workers, employers, and policymakers?
Yeah, so the people that we're partnering with, they can actually pull more data than we can. Also, this goes back to employment laws. A lot of employers are not reporting data properly, or quickly, or even right. So there's that as well. And then working with our state reps and our state senators to make sure like they're actually doing their job and reporting the numbers back to us. So it's one of those things where it just needs more accountability to happen. There's systems that are already in place for this to happen, but people are not using the systems properly. They're not doing the work. So it's just being more of an advocate for why this is important, letting them know, hey, I need this from you, and holding them accountable.
So it's basically voluntary for companies to report their data?
No, it's not voluntary. No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a requirement. Okay. But is it also, I mean, so now that we know it's a requirement for them to report their data, is it a certain amount of data that you all do ask for whenever you do make it a requirement for them to report? They can't like skirt around the type of data, because I know sometimes depending on certain wording, they can use a loophole to make it seem like certain data represents something that is not actually accurate. Could you speak to that if you do have any idea about that?
Yeah, so that's what's happened. Like as I mentioned earlier, if you are laying off 50 people, you have to report, but if you're laying off 49, you don't. So like that's a way that data can be skewed as well. Also, we have people who are working under the table. They're not counting their 1099 employees as employees, they're counting them as contractors. So there's a lot of loopholes that are being used. So again, that's like making sure people understand this is what you need to do, and I need you to do it correctly.
Okay, and that also goes into the state legislators in Georgia to close that gap. That way, like to your point, if they lay off 49 based off of the law, they don't have to report it. But if it's over 49, it has to be reported.
Yeah, if it's
so
50,
that's interesting.
Yeah, if it's over 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so the next question I have for you is community input often shapes the success of workforce programs. So how would you incorporate community voices into your decision making as a labor commissioner?
Yeah, so one thing that I have is that I am a community advocate. Again, for as long as I've been alive, I've had a voice to make sure that people are being heard, seen, and supported. So that's not a no-brainer for me because I do it every day. It's just like, how is this impacting you? How is it affecting you? What can I do to help? So making sure that that door stays open. And I would like to say, being a Black woman, you just see things differently. You just operate a little different when it comes to stuff like that. Because you're a part of a community that does not get seen. You're part of a community that does not get heard. So you put more emphasis on making sure that people are seen and heard. So I have that working for me as well.
Portion of our rapid fire questions. So these are more fun, so you can kind of relax on these.
Well, this has all been fun.
I've been really most of this time, so now you can kind of relax. So, all right. So the first question regarding this is and these are more short responses, yes or no. Did your time as a teacher shape how you lead today?
Yes.
Okay. Has being a veteran influenced your approach to public service?
Yes.
Okay. Do you still carry an entrepreneur mindset in every project?
Yes.
All right. And what's one lesson from a Black woman that guides your campaign?
Making sure that voices are heard.
Okay. All right. Do you prefer early morning strategy sessions or late night planning?
I'm an early morning person. Like, give me when the sun is still down and the world is quiet.
So you tend to get up around like 3, 4 in the morning? Is that you more like that?
I do.
Okay. Does that come from like being in the military, having to just be so prompt and,
I think part of it is also just my brain just keeps going. Okay. And then as you get older, you read about the quiet hour. You read about what it feels like to wake up before the sun. You read about stealing the moments. So just reading. And some of the great people like Alice Walker, Maya Angelou, they woke up before the world did. So it's like one of those things like, okay, well, they did this. They were so great. Let me go ahead and get some of their habits. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
Okay. And then is there a Georgia small business you always recommend to others?
A Georgia small business I always recommend to others. You know what? No, I'm not Georgia Pacific because I'm just like, there's Black women businesses I always recommend, but I don't know if they're in Georgia. So no, I don't have one. I'm sorry if you're listening, you're in Georgia, you're a small business, and you're like, why she didn't say my business? I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. All right. So what's one skill you learned from entrepreneurs that every worker should know?
One skill I learned from entrepreneurs is that you do not have to do everything. I want workers to know, like, it seems like we feel like as entrepreneurs that we have to be the accountant, we have to be the bookkeeper, we have to be the marketing person, we have to be the cleanup person. You don't have to do everything.
Okay. And the next question I have for you is, do you have a favorite Georgia county you visited on the trail?
Houston County, and only because that's where I started my journey here in Georgia. That's the first county I lived in.
Down in Warner Robins, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I am familiar with Warner Robins. So yes. And the next question I have for you is regarding the rapid fire. What's one product from a Black-owned business you've always kept on hand?
So it will have to be my media public relations woman, Black Girl PR. I keep her everywhere I go. Every project I'm working on, she's the one that I'm having. So it's not an actual product, it's a service.
Okay, and I don't know if you can disclose this. Does she? Do you still use her services for your campaign right now as well?
I am. So I was like, hey girl, I'm doing this now. You want to come over here? And she's like, let's go, let's do it. So she switched hats. She's learning a lot as well as I am too as well. This is our first campaign and the first time running for office. So there's a lot of things that we're learning, a lot of the things that we're seeing as to why things are the way they are, because it just looks terrible. And it just is terrible. And we're starting to realize why the systems are not working the way they are. So yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. Okay, and lastly, regarding the fun portion of this, if you could instantly master one trade skill, which one would you pick?
Plumbing.
Tell me why. I'm curious to know.
Do you know how much it costs for a plumber just to come and look?
Very expensive. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a very dirty job, I might add, but they do pay a lot.
It's very dirty, but however, that is one of the most high-paying jobs. So I could be the person who just comes, looks, and assess what's wrong with it, and then send it somebody else in. So, plumber.
Okay, great. So that wraps up my fun portion of the rapid fire questions. You did amazing on that. So we're going to go ahead and tackle what's your vision and impact regarding this race. So if elected, what is the most meaningful change you would want workers and families across Georgia to see by the end of your first term?
When I am elected, by the end of my first term, people will understand that you can raise a family in Georgia, that Georgia is not just the best place for business, but it's also the best place for workforce as well. People will have a good time coming to the Department of Labor because they know it's not just about unemployment insurance. They know it's about workforce development. It's about retraining. It's about learning more skills for your smaller business. It's about understanding these are jobs in my community that are hiring. These are jobs in my community that I can work with and work for. When you have good workers, you have good businesses.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up for anyone who would like to ask you any of the topics that we talked about. If they want to just come up and just speak to you and let their voices be heard, feel free to come up in the chat, everybody. Miss Nikki is very welcoming and open to any questions or comments that you would like to ask her. Just click the guest box or the two people icon down at the bottom, and we'll bring you up to ask her a question. But I do have a follow-up question with you regarding this. I want to know how big is the pool right now on you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're running on the Democratic side, correct? So is the pool pretty big right now for the Labor Commission seat?
It is. There are 7 active candidates. I don't want to say 7. There's 7 candidates. One just filed yesterday. That's what we were talking about before I jumped on this call. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I am bringing a lot of attention to this race. A lot of people did not even know that the Labor Commission race was happening. Oftentimes when I go into places, I introduce myself. They're like, oh, well, I didn't know that I vote for this. Or what does the Department of Labor do? What does the Labor Commission do? Or I had no idea that this race was going on. So I'm introducing this to a lot of people and getting those conversations started. And I think people are looking like this might be a cool job to have. So maybe I can do it too. But I'm the best one.
And will you be in the city where the capital is, where your seat will be held there, your office?
Well, there are
Okay.
34 work centers across the state, so I'll have 34 offices and also under the Gold Dome too as well. So making sure that all 34 offices are very active in their communities and getting the mobile. So I won't just be in one place. I have to go across the state because across the state is how we keep working.
Okay. So once you're elected, you will constantly just be on the go, traveling to these different centers around the state.
For the
Okay.
first year, for the
Yeah.
first year, I
Okay,
don't
for the
see
first year.
myself staying in the office the first year. I'm a worker girl and I can learn. I'm learning more every night. So it's one of those things where I think the first year I probably won't sleep a lot. Just to be honest, making sure that I'm learning everything, but also making sure I'm connecting as well. So I know I'm gonna be very exhausted that first year.
Okay. And someone asked regarding the midterms. When is the midterms in May? Correct. I'm sorry. The
Yes.
primaries are in May. Okay.
Yes.
I think I saw it said May 19th.
Yeah, so primaries are May 19th. Early voting starts April 27th. So because there are so many people in the race, they're saying that there might be a runoff, but we're going to go ahead and not claim that. We're going to get 50 plus 1. So there is no runoff because who has time to keep doing this when I need to prepare for the actual midterm election in November. So primaries are May 19th, but you can early vote starting April 27th.
Okay. And I will go ahead and ask you one last question. So, as a final word to the people that are listening, or those who are going to listen to the playback of this live, and for those who are not familiar, we do have a YouTube channel. So, after this live is over, we'll re-upload it to YouTube so you can see the full playback. But with that being said, what is your message to voters ahead of Election Day? Tell me your final message to them.
So if you are a voter and this is the first time you learn about the labor commissioner role, if this is your first time understanding what a labor commissioner does, if this is your first time even paying attention to a labor commissioner, please make sure you go out and vote for me and even support by making a donation, because if I am your open house, if I am your introduction to this role, imagine what I can do when I'm actually in the role.
Okay, someone is up in the queue, which is Miss Melanie. Miss Melanie, did you have a question for Miss Nikki?
Yes, it's me on my other page, and I don't know why you couldn't see my comment in the comments. I don't know, but I was asking if running is harder than you expected.
So I am actually having the time of my life, believe it or not. The one thing that's harder than expected is the fundraising piece. Because I work and I come from nonprofit, because I'm the one who's always out there helping people, being the person to ask for people to invest in me has been a learning curve. So if I had to say something has been difficult, it has been, calling people, because you literally have to cold call people and like, hey, my name is Nikki Porcher. I'm running for Labor Commissioner. Would love to have your support and your donation as well. This is what I plan on doing when I'm in the office. And these are strangers. And they're like, I don't know you, girl. Like, what you doing? What you running for? Or I get why are you harassing me? Where did you get my phone number from? So that would have to be the hardest part. But outside of that, I love connecting with voters. I love informing people. I love learning about this position. There are things I knew before I even went into this election of trying to get this, but then also the little tidbits that I'm learning that people have no idea. And the scary part about that is I want to share it, but I can't share it because one, the current person in the seat might actually do something with it or might get the information to my opponents. So it's like, that's a hard part too, holding on to information when I want people to know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. And I already see it. God already told me you're going to be there. But if not, then we're going to go tell everything. Look, make sure they doing this. Make sure they doing that, because this is what they should be doing, just to give all the information, right?
Right. And
Thank you.
No problem. And I mean, but to your point, Miss Melanie, like if I truly believe you're running for a position and you, for whatever reason, you don't get elected, you shouldn't stop working in that position. You should have stopped being an advocate for that position, because if it was something where you were like, hey, I can do this job better, why would you not want to work with the person who actually got the job, right? It's just one of those things. So I'm going to lean back. Once I'm in the office, I'm claiming it with you. Once I'm in the office, all the people who are running for the position, I'm going to ask them like, hey, you was running for this position. What was it that you actually wanted to see happen? And how can we work together?
Yes. I'll make sure I tell all my Georgia people. Like I said, I would thought about moving there because I know a lot of people in Georgia. Putting your name out there, girl.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay, Miss Nikki, this has been a great conversation speaking with you. And also, before you go, I want you to go ahead and plug in all of your campaign socials, how people can stay in touch with you if people want to go ahead and do some cold calling, like calling to other users to volunteer, to contact people, to fundraise. Just plug all that for us so people can stay in touch with you.
Yeah, so the website is votefornikki.com. That's vote4nikki.com. All this information is in my bio. Once you go to the website, sign up for the email list, or even hit that donation button and make a donation. When we say make a donation, you do not have to make a grand donation. You can say, oh, well, I don't have $100, $500. If all you have is $3, $4, $5, $10, you can actually make a recurring donation of $5 a month. And that really does help us. So a lot of small donations go a long way. So anything you can give, I would be grateful for that, because this is a statewide campaign and I have to travel all 159 counties. And like I just mentioned, there are 7 people in this race. So I have to make sure that I am rising above the noise. And in order to do that, unfortunately, we need money. So my biggest ask tonight is please go on the website, make a donation, make a recurring donation of a small amount if that's all you can do, if that's all you want to do. But just know every dollar counts, and I'm appreciative of it all.
All right, everybody. So you heard how you can stay in touch with Miss Nikki Porcher, but I have 2 things to tell you about before you go. I have 2 invites for you. So the first invite is I would like to invite you to our next town hall, which is up next at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the candidate Heath Howard. Heath is running for New Hampshire's 1st congressional district. So if you have any extra time, feel free to stop by and show some love and listen to that the conversation with Heath. And also, we would like to invite you to our next roundtable discussion. Our roundtable is basically a set of candidates just like you, Miss Nikki, where you will come up on the panel here and talk about current events for today, or if you would like to discuss more policy topics, feel free to do so. But this has been awesome conversations that we have had thus far. And our roundtable discussions are every other Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So our next one will be this coming Sunday, on the 18th. So if you have any extra time, feel free. We will send you out an email invite if you are interested. But I think you would do well if you did come up here and meet other candidates just like you, okay?
Yes. Now, I know I can't make this one. Remember, I'm in Atlanta and it's Martin Luther King weekend. So literally.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, I forgot about that.
18,000 things happening this weekend that I have to show my face on. But please, please, please keep me in mind for the next roundtable. I would love to join.
We will definitely keep you in mind. As we said, we have them every other Sunday, so we will have a lot of them coming up next. So I know this coming weekend is very busy for the reserved holiday, so we will send you out another one if you're interested. Okay, so last but not least, thank you again, Miss Nikki, for being here. This has been a great conversation, getting to know you and your campaign and what the Labor Commission consists of. And also, I want to thank OVC hosting this wonderful platform, getting to know candidates just like you. Also, I want to thank the participants of the live stream. And last but not least, our OVC team. We work diligently on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we spend more time on OVC than our own personal time. So, hey, you can take that how you want, and whether it's good or bad thing. But, hey, we are working hard here. So with that being said, yes. So with that being said, just before we send it out, once again, OVC, we are also known as Our Vote Counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure that every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, and education, we're building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us, because your vote is your power. And until then, I will see you all next at 9 p.m. And thank you again, Miss Nikki. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.